Hello, this is Monetary Therapy. This is Travis Kendall.
And I'm Elio Harmon.
And today we're going to be talking about what is money, but a little more of a micro level, on just like bare bones. What is it? The definitions as they seep from your pores. That kind of what is money.
Down to the penny.
Here it is, baby.
Let's do it. All right, man. So we're back again. I think you guys thought we'd be gone, but we're back. I don't even know what episode number this is, but we're going to keep coming back as long as you keep listening. And this week, man, we want to talk about what is money.
Hey, Elio.
Yeah.
What is money, man?
Dude, money is everything. Money's God.
Money is God?
You didn't know that?
Like he just is like a bucket of money?
I don't even know if it's a he. Let's call it a she.
Just it?
Yeah.
It's just a floating vortex of gold and silver rings
It makes everything better.
and paper.
Yeah.
Paper's money, right?
You could break your arm and rub money on it, and it'll like immediately heal your arm. That's how powerful money is.
Well, what is money, man?
Well,
what is it really?
Look, man, I was thinking about this, getting ready for the show, and I really didn't have a solid definition of it.
Okay.
I think it's one of those things that you're so familiar with that you take for granted that you maybe don't really understand what it truly is. It's such a part of our lives that we just completely hey, it's just this thing, man. And we go to work to earn it. We need it to spend on all the essentials that we need in our lives, but I really never took the time to define it. So I spent maybe the last 2 or 3 days looking at some research on what money was. And of course, there's the technical definition of money that I'm going to leave up to the experts, which is like on the macro level, or looking at money from its origins, right?
Yeah, instead of bags of salt, bartering and trading, we use.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So if, let's say, I have cows and I want bananas, and you have bananas and I have cows.
I got so many bananas, man.
Yeah.
But I have no
I'm
cows.
not going to give you a whole cow
All right, give me
for
half
a banana.
the cow.
Yeah, that would be a messy transaction. I can't be cutting my cows in half. But for this episode, man, I really want to focus on the micro stuff. So what does money mean to me as an individual? And maybe what money might mean to you, Travis, in your opinions on that. So really what I did was I looked for money and human behavior, and I found this guy named Abraham Maslow. Now, I came across this guy in high school. I came across him again in college, but really never thought about Abraham Maslow's work on the hierarchy of needs in terms of money.
Hierarchy of needs, yeah.
That's right. So basically, my definition of money is this. So money is necessary in our economy, the way our system is set up, to meet our basic needs. Okay? It facilitates the ability for us to meet our basic needs. So let's say, for example, you go to work, you earn a paycheck.
Check. Got it. It's in my pocket.
Yeah, it's in your pocket, or you cash it out, or you deposit it in an account.
Yeah,
you
that's
like
what
cash?
I do. Yeah, screw pockets. I cashed it.
You cashed it out, so you got like a ton of money right now in
I got
cash.
so much more in my pockets than I had before because it was just a check, right?
Right. But at the end of the day, that money is not that important unless you are able to use it to buy stuff.
Okay.
Right? So like people in Zimbabwe, which has hyperinflation right now, it costs like 2 billion Zimbabwe currency to buy a loaf of bread or some ridiculous amount.
Is that like a big loaf of bread?
I don't know. It's like probably like a standard loaf of bread.
Like a standard loaf of bread?
But the money itself has no underlying value.
Okay.
So the money is not really what you want. I mean, you would think, because of the way we understand money, just generally, that's what you want.
So what we want is value.
You want to be able to acquire.
The ability to acquire.
The ability to acquire things that meet your basic needs.
Okay.
Now, what are basic needs, though? Because everybody's definition of basic needs is different. So that's where Abraham Maslow's work comes into my definition of what money is.
Okay. So my basic needs is Chipotle at least once a week.
Yeah, that's food. Abraham Maslow deals with that. But it doesn't matter what kind of food it is. Chipotle is good, though.
Needs to be Chipotle.
Yeah.
That's a need I got.
Yeah, Chipotle once a week, I think that's reasonable.
Is reasonable?
Yeah.
What does Maslow say?
Well, Maslow actually says that so Chipotle, or whatever kind of food you desire, are considered physiological needs or biological needs. So, for example, if you're drowning, right, the one thing you want more than anything else at that moment is air.
Is there?
right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. It doesn't matter, what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow. You're completely in the moment and all you want is air. Maslow says that when you have a need that basic, it trumps everything else.
Okay.
Right?
Trumps money.
It trumps money. It trumps anything that you think is important any other time in your day. If you can't breathe, the only thing you're thinking about right now is breathing.
Okay.
So these are the most basic needs. Included in that category is water. So I don't know how long you can survive without water. I'm sure somebody knows the statistics on it.
3-5 days, something like that.
Yeah, max, right? So no water, you're not thinking about what your net worth is. Who's going to win the Super Bowl next year. You don't care, right? You just want water.
Yeah.
Same thing with food.
Okay.
Now, surprisingly, man, on this list is sex.
Really?
Super duper important.
I must have a low libido.
Well, I mean, listen.
'Cause I feel like I don't need it that much.
Yeah. But in this society, sex costs you a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So that's why I think people are avoiding it. But I think it's super important for the species somehow.
I'm saying if I had to pick between food, water, and sex, I'm definitely giving up the sex, right?
Food, water, and sex. Yeah, I think sex is, well, that's what Maslow says, right? So Maslow must have really, really been into sex. Sleep is on this list.
Sleep. I like sleep a lot. Yeah.
Sleep is super important.
I can do that. That's super basic.
Right? I think you go crazy if you don't get sleep.
Yeah.
Right?
So what about like shelter? When does that come in?
It comes in at the next level.
Okay. So is there anything else on this level?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are more stuff. More gross stuff, man. We're going to get really gross here.
Give it to me. What do we got?
Taking a dump.
Wait.
Super important.
Really?
Yeah. If you're constipated, you can't think about anything else.
No. Yeah. If you really got to pee right now, you just got to.
You can't think of anything else. So
All
excretion is on the list.
Okay.
So these are basic things. Now, the only things on here that money can really help you with are food, water, I guess sex, man.
Yeah, but and even on a most basic level, it's just I could go out and grow some corn, or I could just start eating leaves off the tree if I'm really on that most basic what is necessary to me right now.
That's true.
I'll eat dirt, man.
That's true. And one of the things that we talked about in a previous episode, like when I was sharing my story about my upbringing, is that you can go to some villages in Liberia where money may not even generally be something that somebody needs for survival, because people tend to build their own shelter. People have a farm out back. They have a few chickens, so they don't need to go to the grocery store. I'm using this because I'm talking mainly about the West.
Okay.
And about how you and I live on a day-to-day basis.
Me and you, yeah. Western culture.
That's it.
Here we are.
So we need money just to meet our basic physiological needs. And Maslow goes one step further. He calls these needs on the first level, the physiological needs, and then on the second level of safety, he calls them deficiencies.
Deficiencies.
These are things, if you don't have them, they threaten your survival.
Okay.
Right? They're literally essential. Food is essential. Nobody can deny that. Water is essential. You can't deny that. Air is essential. You can't deny that. Sex, I guess we're still having an argument about that. But sleep and things of that nature, you don't sleep, you go crazy. Yeah. So these are the essentials, right? If you have a deficiency in any of these areas, it's a survival question.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the second level, though, which is where money really comes into play.
And that's like with shelter, right?
It's safety, yeah. And this is
safety. Okay, so shelter's included in that.
Yeah. So your home.
Okay.
Well, one, you want to feel safe.
Okay.
Right? So safe from the elements, which is where shelter comes into play.
Rain's cold, man. I don't like it.
That's right. So you're looking at your shelter.
Check.
Access to medical care.
Ooh. Yeah, I have access. I just don't utilize it. Am I a bad person for that?
Well, I don't know, man. Dude, you need to have some preventative care as part of your regular annual routine.
Yeah.
If you have medical insurance.
Yeah. And that's necessary, because you don't catch that bit of cancer, you'll die.
Right. And it's not about how you look on the outside either. There are guys in their 20s that have heart attacks. And they appear from the outside to have a normal weight. But that doesn't really matter. You still got to go get that looked at. Your job and job security.
So now, this is interesting to me. So the job is necessary. You will die without a job, according to where we're putting things on Maslow's
No. you wouldn't die, but at the next level, and in regard to money, in terms of meeting your basic material needs, a lot of us are able to acquire money by having a job. And so once you're sleeping, once you have food to eat, once you have water, now you start thinking about these next level things. Now you're thinking shelter.
Okay.
Now you're thinking about medical care. Now you're thinking about job and job security.
But aren't these all still things that, I mean, if we don't have shelter, we'll die. If we don't have medical care, we'll die. And so I think the interesting thing for me is job now jumps on this level because you throw me out in the woods, and I was a Boy Scout, I'll survive a little bit, but I can't hunt. You know, like I'm not gonna be able to survive. But our society gives us the ability to not need to learn how to hunt.
Right.
Because I can just go to Kroger. I can just go buy some food somewhere. And so job then kind of jumps down to level 2 and is necessary for life because I don't have the skills to survive in the wild.
Oh yeah, man. And I think, I mean, even, you know, the wild, you could pull it back even further just to grow something.
You put water on it. That's how it works.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's it. Water and
do.
sunlight, and it doesn't matter. It
all I
should
know.
grow. Yeah, that's my job.
So, yeah, crop rotation. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Or what even grows in Ohio? I don't know. But yeah, I guess a job in the 21st century is maybe as essential as anything there is on this list.
And exclusively with our inability to do and to gain access to the other things. Without a job, I can't pay a water bill and I can't drink water and I'll die.
And there's, I think, and this is going to come up later in the discussion, why community is so important. Because we are so independent in the society as individuals that we spend very little time building community. And this is just a generalized statement. Everybody has, to their own degree, a community built that would support them for any number of reasons. However, because we're not so interdependent like we might have been, 1,000 years ago, having a job and having job security is absolutely essential now.
Yeah, I've never even considered that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I was looking at some statistics the other day, again, on my paranoia podcast run. And one of the statistics, I think this was done by bankrate.com, says that 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Wow.
So that literally means, now, what do you think paycheck to paycheck means? What if you had to define that, what would you say that is?
You don't have any extra money. Like when you get the paycheck, you're using that to pay the rent, to pay the bills, to pay the food, and then there's nothing left afterward.
That's right. So if you lost that paycheck, what would that mean for you?
You can't pay rent that week.
Right.
Or month. Hopefully you're not paying week-to-week rent. But
right.
Yeah.
That's it. So whatever gains that you might have made, you lose simply because you lose your job.
Okay.
Right. You can't. Your position is not that secure. And on top of
That's
it,
70% of America.
76 actually.
Okay.
And the second statistic part of that survey was 50% of Americans have less than $800 in savings.
Wow.
So if you combine living paycheck to paycheck with less than $800 in savings,
You got an extra month or two if you do lose that job.
depending on what your cost of living is, So Maslow is really saying, and I'm kind of piggybacking on Maslow here, that money essentially takes care of these things, your physical, material needs. However, Maslow has 3 other levels.
Okay. So those are just the first 2.
So yeah, if you think about Maslow's hierarchy as a pyramid, on the biggest, longest base foundation portion is your physiological. So breathing,
that's our food. Yeah.
That's what we covered. The second level is safety.
And that's where we got our job now as part of that, but shelter,
medical care,
that sort of thing.
And your financial stability, your savings, things like that. So once the physiological and safety needs, which are level 1 and level 2, are met, which are the deficiency levels, then you move into the next phase, which is the growth levels. Okay. So there are 3 parts to the growth stage. Okay.
So you have deficiency?
Yeah, deficiency are the first 2.
And then growth are the next 3.
Stages, and then growth are there are a total of 5 stages. Growth has 3 of the 5 stages included.
Okay.
So the first growth stage is love.
Okay.
Now he describes that as in order for us to thrive as human beings, we need to have a sense of community. This is where we're concerned about friendships. This is where we're concerned about finding a mate or a partner. Okay, so once you have your most basic needs taken care of, your mind then goes to, how's my relationship with my mom or dad? How's my relationship with my wife or significant other? When was the last time I talked to my best friend?
Yesterday.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Am I your best friend?
You notice I didn't answer the first 2 things, and yes, you are, by the way.
Okay, thank you, man.
I didn't answer the parent thing or the relationship thing, but best friend, I got
Okay, yeah. Well, as long as you're checking off some things in this category, I think is what he's pointing to. So it's really love. But however, I think in my definition, I've narrowly boxed money in to just being something that deals with the first 2 levels.
Okay.
I think that in our society, however, money's significance has crept into the growth level as being essential for achieving or satisfying some of the needs that Maslow would consider to be growth needs. So, for example, I think it's really prevalent in advertising that if you're wealthy or you have significant finances, it's easier to find love. It's easier to, the rich man doesn't lack any friends, but the poor man has no friends,
yep.
Right? That whole, the myths about what's necessary in order to really have that need of love met. And I think once we start to elevate money into the growth phase of human needs, I think we really stunt our own development.
Okay. So that we're depending on our relationships with our families, significant others, and best friends to rely on money is stunting growth.
I believe so, because I believe that, let's say, for example, let's use very, very crude traditional roles here when it comes to male and females. So I think that the guy who goes out, works super hard, becomes super successful because he thinks that once he has achieved a certain amount of financial standing, that it will make it easier for him to meet women, actually is stunning his own growth. Because there's a certain amount of character development that you need to have in order to make an interesting mate. I think if all you have is just the money, chances of that really developing, in my opinion, into a deeply meaningful relationship, you're just going to be somebody who doesn't have a fully developed personality because you've been so heavily dependent on your financial standing to attract mates.
And that's if you think that the money will be, if not the only, but the major factor in which you want to try to collect a mate.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think, and when you start to get into these higher growth phases, it's using money as a shortcut, basically.
Okay.
So
we've so far we've been able to use money on all of these levels.
Yeah, but I think that's where we start to elevate money to the level where it is now in our life, where it permeates everything.
Yeah, and it's not a good thing. You start getting a credit card debt. You start moving to Florida, to Fort Lauderdale.
You start moving to Florida, and you start
30 minutes to work,
borrowing money to buy suits and all the other stuff.
Okay, so what's our level 4?
A level 4 is
above love.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem.
Now, he puts it so high in the pyramid, and this, again, is just his theory, but we lived in a society for a while where self-esteem was number 1.
Sure, yeah.
It was pushed heavy. Probably more important than some of the other things we already went over already, which is how you feel about yourself is super important.
If people don't like me, I don't even care about food. I'll just die, man.
Dude, people don't eat because they think about what people think about them. So that's how severe it is.
Okay.
But what falls into this category is the need to feel good about oneself, the need to enjoy certain experiences. So, for example, you've traveled to Europe before, and just the fact that you had that experience might be. What do you think that had in terms of an impact on? I don't want to say self-esteem, but just overall on you being able to travel to Europe.
It definitely gave a whole lot more perspectives on what other people are like and what other people go through, and being able to be less judgmental and not take for granted what I have,
Mm-hmm. It helped you be more well-rounded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. He also has achievement. So at this level, people are really looking to be recognized for the work that they do.
And I can see how this might go above love, just because, without the community, then it doesn't. You're just a lone mountain man doing whatever, and so you don't have a self-esteem. But once you get other people involved that then have opinions of you, now suddenly we can worry that all those people around us have low opinions of us, and that's where we start getting into self-esteem.
Yeah.
And then in order to make sure people have higher opinions of us, we start spending money to make sure we have a flashy car, a flashy suit that we can wear,
and debt.
And we get into a whole lot of debt.
Yeah.
Making sure that people like us.
So I think a lot of people, and this is, I think, probably one of the underlying causes of student loan debt. It's the fact that the college degree has come to be such a little bit of self-assurance that you have value in the marketplace. And so a lot of people will, and I know I have personal experience with this, not knowing what I wanted to study, but just the fact that I went to college was so important and part of what made up my identity at the time, that I was willing to take on debt to protect that identity. I think
I am a sophisticated learner of all things. Right? That's what you get by going to college.
Yeah, or something.
Experiences, and supposedly, oh, you went to college? You must know some more things
right.
than other people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's listen, and I don't believe that anymore, but at the time it was so real to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely necessary for me to do that. So, in addition to that, one of the things that he says in terms of self-esteem is that self-discipline and being able to accomplish goals that you set for yourself is also a self-esteem builder. So a lot of times, a shortcut, instead of being self-disciplined, if you have enough money, maybe you can bypass that. And he also talks about reputation, what other people think of you professionally, personally, et cetera, all are on this level. And then finally is self-actualization, where...
Is this the last part of 4?
This is the last part.
Okay.
This is actually level 5.
Oh, this is level 5.
This is the final level.
The top of the pyramid, baby.
Yeah.
Once we're like amazing, we got self-esteem, we got a community, we got food, we got shelter. This is the last thing we get. Final growth. We're God tier now.
That's right. This is Gandhi level.
Gandhi level.
Yeah.
Gandhi
This is
level 5.
This is when nothing else matters now.
All right. What is it?
Right. So this is where you become self-aware.
Self-aware.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're not quite so I don't want to say concerned, but you are extremely congruent, meaning your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, and your actions are all aligned.
Okay.
So there's no wavering there. You truly know who you are. So, for example, one of the things I struggle with, and it's so crazy, is, okay, so my goal is to be financially free.
Okay.
Now, what is financially free? So
tell me.
My investments are returning enough to cover all of my expenses.
Okay.
And so I don't have to work except on projects that are deeply meaningful to me.
Okay.
So that's financial freedom. So if that is what I say I want, then my thoughts should line up with that.
Okay.
My emotions should line up with that. And my actions should line up with that. I'm not fully self-actualized if I'm wavering on those things, though. So if I tell you that my goal is to be financially free, and then next week I roll around here in a new foreign automobile knowing that I just got a whole bunch of debt on it, I'm not congruent.
Yeah.
So I clearly have skipped one of those steps because I haven't resolved some of those things, and I'm still looking to use money or debt or a material object to try to meet one of the needs that are on this hierarchy.
So when we buy new shoes, because we don't like what people think of the old ones because they're ratty, and we want to make sure people think highly of us, we're focusing too much on the lesser things in life, and we're using money to try to fill that void.
And that's what self-actualization is all about. And I think the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is that I believe in our society we've elevated money we've basically inverted the pyramid. We've put things like self-expression, self-esteem, love at the bottom of the pyramid and describe those things in some cases as basic needs, and are willing to put ourselves in debt, a tremendous amount of financial strain, financial peril, actually. We work in jobs that may not really be fulfilling to us, simply because we want to use money as a means to achieve all of these things, when money is not really wasn't really created to meet all of those needs. In my opinion, money for me, and I'm practicing this way of thought as a discipline, is really meant to meet my basic needs, but provide me the freedom to pursue some of the higher needs like love and self-esteem and self-actualization. So that's just my opinion.
So what is money, Elio?
Again, money is a means of meeting my basic needs.
Okay, and so, yeah, and so too often in our society, it seems like we're treating extra things as the basic needs, and then in so doing, getting into debt, getting into all sorts of weird stuff in order to afford shelter. We're getting into mortgages, in order to afford food. We're opening credit lines, because we're focused too much on making sure people think we look cool.
Yeah, and I think it's so we start to blur the line between deficiency needs and growth needs. So when it's no longer shelter is when it becomes, well, I live in this neighborhood, therefore I have a certain status. Okay. See, that's now you're adding self-esteem to safety, and maybe not even consciously doing it. Right? But the point I'm trying to make is money can't buy you self-esteem.
Yeah.
Right? You're attaching self-esteem to a safety need that money can address, but ultimately, if you don't feel like you're worthy, or if you don't have self-esteem in and of itself, then I think you're misusing money at that point. And I don't think it'll bring you the fulfillment that you think it will, because the new car smell wears off. The new house smell wears off. You got to still mow that lawn, and so if you buy more house than you actually need, it becomes a burden.
Yeah, my hunger doesn't wear off, though.
That's why you have a lifetime supply Chipotle budget.
Hell yeah. You ready to go?
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Heck yeah. You ready to go?
Heck yeah. We need Chipotle. You should sponsor this show. We say Chipotle so much.
I love it, man. Hey,
Yeah.
I don't even care if you don't have sponsorships. I'll tell everyone in the world I love it.
All right.
So cool. So money, man. What is money? We got to be able to have our basic needs.
Let's meet our basic needs, and let's not give it more power than we need to. All right, man. Learned a lot in this episode.
I got so much knowledge.
Wow. Practical knowledge, though.
I'm going to apply this to all parts of my life.
That's what this show is about.
Hell
This
yeah.
is Monetary Therapy with Elio Harmon.
Travis Kendall.
Next episode is What is Money Micro? So we're coming down to the pocketbook stuff, kitchen table stuff. Looking forward to it.